From the moment we were introduced to the character Ada, the 16-year-old femme fatale locked away in Boro's hideout who Jigen ordered to be destroyed, alongside her younger brother, the battle-crazed rugrat named Damon, the story's been laying the groundwork for the inevitable moment where Ada would get her hands on the one thing that she always wanted more than anything else, her opportunity to meet with Kawaki and be given the chance to win over his heart. However, longtime viewers of the channel, you all know that one thing that we've said over here is to not discount the potential of a swerve and the allegiance of Ada's heart, because the narrative also opened up the door for her to look in the direction of Boruto Uzumaki as far back as their first conversation with Code. After this latest manga chapter for Boruto 2 Blue Vortex chapter 8, we now have to consider the possibility that Ada's allegiance towards Kawaki, it might be in danger and she might be willing to form another alliance with Boruto. And so in today's video, we're going to be looking back at the signs leading up to this moment and discuss the impact of the turn itself, and it's actually going to be the latter that we need to start. Now, longtime viewers of the channel, you guys know that I've done my fair share of Boruto and Ada videos in the past, mostly so I can poke fun at the Borosaru fans and the Borosume fans, but at the heart of those videos, when you get past the trolling on the thumbs, like this thumbnail likely is going to troll as well, is a warning that Ada, while she does love hard, she loves really hard, she has shown signs of being fickle, and to not rule out her joining over to Boruto's side, if for no other reason than due to the narrative itself. She's too much of a threat to not have it neutralized to some capacity, and I'm not referring to omnipotence, something that she can't even control and something that doesn't even affect Boruto. Her Sharingan powers, they're too dangerous for someone like Boruto to not have her either as an ally or an impartial third party that doesn't swear allegiance to one side or the other, like an all-knowing narrator of a story who calls it down the middle without any sort of bias. That was the issue that we ran into when Omnipotence first got casted and explained to us, and it became clear that Boruto was on the run. Everyone wondered how was Boruto going to stay alive for such a long period of time where she could track him down with her eyes at any given moment, but the story in the literal next chapter, it took that threat off the table by revealing that due to her feeling guilty for what she unintentionally did by casting Omnipotence and intentionally giving into Kawaki's demands to lie to everyone about Boruto killing Naruto and Hinata, Ada revealed to us that she would not help Konoha look for Boruto or Sasuke even if Kawaki or Shikamaru demanded that she do so, unless Boruto ever returned to Konoha. Their treaty, it had a very important condition on it. As long as she never returned, Boruto could sleep a little easier at night, knowing that if he ever got caught, it wouldn't be because Ada led everyone straight to him, but instead it'd be because Boruto himself made a mistake along the way. However, the moment he returned to Konoha, the treaty was over, and true to her unspoken words of their agreement, which should have been self-explanatory, Ada began assisting Konoha wherever possible, letting them know where Boruto was and giving updates whenever asked. It would be through all those moments that she watched Boruto that she would find herself doing what she did in the last chapter, which is positioning herself. As we discussed in the video on Mitsuki and the I Love Kawaki translation, which due to YouTube guidelines, I couldn't title it, did Boruto make Mitsuki gay? Mitsuki in Spanish and in the French translations of the story is asking Ada, does she even know why she loves Kawaki? And it's through her conversation with Mitsuki and her hearing Mitsuki's conflict, knowing that whatever he's associating with Kawaki is really how he feels about Boruto, and her knowing the truth and seeing how despite Boruto being an enemy in Mitsuki's eyes, their bond was strong enough that it led to her wanting to have another conversation with Boruto because she saw the love of their bond. It had been doing something that should be seen as impossible, breaking through omnipotence in a way that was not logical, because everyone's minds of Boruto and Kawaki was switched. For someone like Ada, who spent most of her life wanting to experience what it meant to be loved, truly loved by someone who wasn't part of her family like Damon, she had been looking for love in all the wrong places. Her ability forced people to love her, but it wasn't the same thing as a genuine connection. It's merely a quick dopamine hit for her, and when you get so many of them back to back to back each day, it doesn't hit the same, which is why she sought out people who are immune to her power. True Love's first kiss was now True Love's first Otsutsuki. The only non-relatives who would be above her control power in terms of how to sway hearts, at least as of what she was aware of. Her eyes, they were first set on Kawaki, but in her conversation with Code, she never ruled out Boruto. She in fact said quite the opposite, calling Boruto attractive. When Mitsuki asked her, depending on the translation used, why do you like Kawaki, or you don't even know why you like Kawaki, it conveys the very thing I first brought up when Ada was introduced years ago. Her love for Kawaki, it might develop into something over time. I'm all but expecting it to go to that point at some point in the story, because I can see the manga pairing from other series that these two are following. Same way that the Astro Boy stuff's been linked to Amato and Akabi and Delta. That whole situation is straight out of Astro Boy, but her initial reason for falling for Kawaki, it was always suspect when you go back and you look at the details of Ada's character. It's something I've been stressing for, what, 3 years now? Why did she fall for Kawaki? By her own words, it was because of the moment she saw Kawaki trick Ishiki with a shadow clone and kill him. She said it made her heart race in a way that it never had before. Translation, her panties got wet. She's someone who has the ability to see everything that happens in the present, so long as you don't shrink yourself like Kawaki did using the Sukuna Hikona. And she said most of the things she saw, it made her incredibly bored, to the point that she loses interest rather quick as a result. Kawaki offered her excitement in the form of an experience that she'd never had before, and that's what drew her in, just as often is the case in the real world. You can be this dashing, handsome super Chad with a witty sense of humor. You can have all the money that you want, you have all the status that you want, but at the end of the day, and this is just based off of my experience, but it's just that experiences that you offer to the woman that you're with and the memories that you create. It arguably goes further than some of the surface level things that fade away over time. You're not always going to have money. You're not always going to be attractive. You're going to age and your appearance is going to change. But what you offer that is intangible and the way you make someone feel, that goes a long, long way. Boruto, being the good guy next door, she viewed him as attractive. She pretty much said as much when she's speaking of Code, but Boruto was safe. He was the boring guy that you had next door that you didn't take seriously. And for someone like her who is continuously bored, Boruto was not the first option for her, which is why Kawaki intrigued her all the more. It's the classic example of nice guys finish last when it comes to the bad boy getting the hot girl early on in life. Yet despite this, the narrative, it kept planting this very subtle seeds to not discount Boruto at any point, as she spied in on Kawaki during her alliance with Code, where she's looking for the right opportunity to say, hey, go get Kawaki, dude. Her eyes, they wandered over to Boruto more than once, and most famously, you had that moment that was captured very well in the official English translation, which is ironic given the Mitsuki debacle that we just went over a couple of days ago. But when Boruto stated it was his duty to protect Kawaki, Ada followed the old gag from the 80s and 90s shonen tropes to a T, where she got all worked up and hot and bothered as a woman, and she's covering up her face, in particular the nose. And she did this when she said that what Boruto was doing so hot, and the undertones and the lettering that was used, you can draw the connection there. And we saw the sweat that was on her face as well. Then we began discussing the cohabitation in the Omnipotence arc and some of the things that were being said by Shikamaru in there. We had a moment where it was placed upon Boruto's shoulders that should Kawaki drop the ball when it comes to raising up Ada, it was expected of Boruto to carry out that mission to make Ada fall in love with him and be happy enough to help out the village. This inevitably led to the moment where Ada tried to let Boruto down nicely, and Damon, basically being the savage that he is, he went, dude, you're too ugly for my sister, which it sent Boruto fangirls out to pitchforks, because they said, how dare that little smush-faced twerp say something like that to Boruto when this kid is barely potty trained and still drinking from a milk carton and through a straw instead of a glass, and he has to take naps on his sister's lap. How can this kid say anything about Boruto? Yet it was again a small nod planted that if Kawaki screws up or if something pushes her away, she would be going into the direction of Boruto. When we go further into the Omnipotence arc, after she realized what happened and Kawaki caught on, Kawaki didn't just ask her to lie for him by saying that Boruto killed Naruto. He directly threatened her by grabbing her by the shirt and staring deep into her eyes. There was an unspoken set of words that he would kill her if he didn't go along with it, and it paid off the foreshadowing of what Code said, which is that if you find yourself alone with Kawaki, he will kill you. And Kawaki did not release her until she told Konoha everything that he wanted. Ada, she went looking for love in all the wrong places, and she found herself with a bad boy who's so damaged that he wasn't going to be fixed overnight or even with one or two goodwill gestures. When she goes off to see Boruto, even Ada admits that she was wrong about Boruto, openly questioning if he was still a 12-year-old kid because he was taking the whole situation a lot more maturely than she expected him to. She realized it without even having to say it to us manga readers, is that she had misread Boruto's character. This Boruto who returned taller, and he has more of an edge to him now than before, and he doesn't give off those nice annoying kid next door vibes. This Boruto has seen some stuff and he's been changed by it, but the one thing that has never changed about him is the way that he has not stopped loving those who he cares for, and she's seeing in real time how he's slowly winning back the people who were taken away from him. She's seeing him give others the love that she's always wanted, but she's never truly had or experienced. It's why she was happy at the prospect of a friendship with Sarada and class rep. We're seeing a very classic lonely heart in Ada suddenly seek out the waters of love from somewhere else. I do think that's going to play a role in her forming another alliance with Boruto after they have another conversation and after she's had time to see how much Boruto's changed and contrast it with how much colder Kawaki has gotten. While I do ultimately still believe we're going to be in a situation like we were with the story in regards to how Masashi Kishimoto admitted everything back in 2015 when he promoted Boruto the movie. I think Kawaki and Ada is going to be a very similar situation as Naruto and Hinata. So for those of you guys who don't know, back in 2015, one of the things Kishimoto said is that he decided on the pairings for the Naruto couples and everything midway through the story, much to the displeasure of his wife, who, on top of looking like Sakura, according to Eiichiro Oda, one of Kishimoto's best friends, but also she was someone who pulled for Sakura to end up with Naruto and was very upset at the ending of the story. Kishimoto said that midway through the story, he realized Hinata needed to be rewarded for always supporting and acknowledging Naruto, long before Ruka and the other members of Team 7 did, which ultimately was what made him pull the trigger on the pairing, which would be around the pain arc for those guys who are curious. But just as Hinata got rewarded, I do ultimately think that Ada is going to be the one standing there at Kawaki's side after Boruto, when he finishes whatever redemption arc he needs to for Kawaki, and Kawaki finishes his story of starting from nothing, being given everything because he stole it, and then having everything he stole return to the person he stole it from. And the people who are going to be there for him are likely going to be Boruto and Naruto, who offer him forgiveness, and Ada is going to be the person who offers him a bridge to something he's never fully embraced, which is love in a non-familiar way. And it's going to be a reward for Ada, because Ada loved Kawaki enough, for right or for wrong, and love makes you do crazy things. For right or for wrong, she was willing to not only go along with the lie of omnipotence and let people continue to think that Kawaki was Naruto's son, but she was willing to lie for Kawaki. She felt bad for it, in particular trying to have everyone hunt down Boruto, and she tried to make amends for it, but her feelings to Kawaki pushed a lot of that forward. Some of that is desperation. A lot of that's going to be something I discuss in my Ada video essay that I'm still scripting. However, here's the symbolism that I want to leave you with Ada. Making Ada these wet rivers that end up parching the thirst of the boy with the crusty cracked lips, whose name literally means dry. And just like Hinata, Ada would be getting rewarded for her faith and love, which this video on the screen discusses that fact about Hinata, as well as 14 other little known trivia facts that even the most hardcore Naruto fan would know, which you can find out by clicking this link on the screen.